A nuclear war was the best thing that ever happened to me. There's something about a game that knows exactly what it is, not trying to stretch into genre-bending bloat or endless mechanics, just a singular, focused vision executed with eerie precision. That's Spiderland. Spiderland is a free-to-play visual novel that dropped quietly on Steam and itch.io and has since carved out a weird little niche for itself in the indie horror landscape.
What the fuck is this?
Developed by solo dev Xavier Bell, Spiderland is short, you can beat it in like an hour. But like a good horror story, it lingers, it sticks, and it watches you. And no, don't worry, it doesn't actually have spiders. I'm arachnophobic, so trust me, I wouldn't be talking about this if it did. You play as a lone scavenger surviving in the radioactive wake of a global disaster. You wake up each morning to check a battered old communication terminal, where a network of strange survivors whisper messages through MSN or something. Then at night, you go out, to landmarks, to ruins, to places where the air doesn't move right. Gameplay is minimal. You read, you make choices, and sometimes you get to type. Sometimes you get to hallucinate. There are no voice actors, no flashy visuals, just radiation green, the everlasting dread, terminal text, and the gnawing sense that you're not alone. Sync Signalis meets Stories Untold with a dash of Stalker's mood, but boiled down to its raw essence. What really sells it is how deliberate everything is. You're not just playing a story, you're digging into a cold, radioactive world that barely acknowledges you. The survivors you talk to, they don't know who you are. They might not even be real, but the writing is strong enough that you want to believe them. You want to help, or at least understand more.
Knowledge.
When it comes to understanding, Spiderland doesn't explain much, and that's the point. The lore is vague, characters speak in half-truths, the world ended, something spider-like might be watching. Not legs or fangs, but something much older. A presence that haunts these hills like static. Maybe you're part of a failed experiment.
You're here.
Maybe the people you talk to are echoes. Maybe you're the echo. One theory suggests the landmark you explore are just memory constructs, each a corrupted fragment of who you used to be. The ambiguity is Spiderland's strength. It's less about giving you answers and more about making you feel the weight of the questions, the silence, the emptiness, and especially the loneliness. When it comes to presentation, Spiderland does everything well. While 95% of the time you'll be staring at a screen like this one, or this one, they are interchangeable with short walking segments where you get to look around. In these short stings, the graphics are realistic and the lighting is extremely moody. There's also very little when it comes to sound, with the game mostly centered around atmospheric noise, drone sounds, and oppressive writing. You meet a couple characters along your way, with each having a unique ending tailored to them. Fortunately, there's not much when it comes to narrative choice, which I think is a bit of a letdown. I would have enjoyed pissing off the characters through our silly high five app and have that bite me in the ass later, which never happens. And that points me to my biggest critique for this game. The protagonist is a bit of a knight, as in his plot armor is insanity. You get captured by evil people, hunted by a monster you can't see, meet a person you've been chatting for months only to threaten their life and get off unscathed. Who the fuck is this guy? Agent 47? The point of the game is to evoke the loss of human connection, doubling down on paranoia and showing you intense post-Australian non-spider situations. And I cannot stress that the writing here is absolutely top-tier cinema. Characters and dialogue feel natural, witty, and very realistic. Alongside the encounters, locations, and set pieces are all described in a surreal yet very grungy way, and I really liked it. If you come for narrative answers, Spiderland isn't really that type of game, as there's not a great payoff by the end, yet there's a lot to chew on once you're done. By the time Spiderland is over, nothing explodes. There's no final revelation that flips the table and tells you that everything meant something different all along. No secret route, no hidden ending, no big brain twist waiting for Reddit to crack it open at 3 in the morning. And that is not a failure of ambition. That is the point. Spiderland is painfully honest about what it is doing. The story exists in fragments, and even calling them fragments might be generous. Terminal messages, brief exchanges, hints that something went wrong a very long time ago. You're never given a clear explanation for the state of the world. And more importantly, you're never given a reason why you specifically are still here. You just are. That idea sits at the center of everything. Survival without purpose, movement without progress. The game never promises you that what you're doing matters. It never pretends that you are uncovering the truth or fixing the past. You are moving forward because stopping would mean confronting the silence, and that seems worse. The voice you communicate with throughout the narrative is a perfect example of this. It never becomes a fully formed character, even in the end. They don't betray you, save you, or reveal some grand plan. It talks to you because that's all that remains. Communication here is not about connection or hope. It's about keeping the void at arm's length for another minute, and the game never cheats you on that. So here's the thing. Spiderland isn't a big live service title with a development roadmap and a Discord full of patch notes. It says its piece and then leaves you to sort through the emotional rubble. Yeah, it's short, but it's not incomplete. And if Bell does expand on it, great, but if nothing changes, Spiderland already feels like a complete little nightmare. Bell has a history of compact, narrative-driven games like Rodeo Clown and Trail of the Wretched, who all reflect the mastery of less is more. The world is now ruined in a dramatic way. It is exhausted. It feels maintained just enough to suggest that people are going through the motions, even though the reason to do so vanished long ago. This is not a post-apocalypse where disaster is the star of the show, like Fallout.
You wanna make my cock explode now? Sorry? Intercourse?
This is a post-meaning world. The catastrophe already happened, and now everyone is just living in the aftermath. Why did you keep going? Well, it wasn't because the game promised you answers. It's because continuing is instinct, because stopping feels worse, because that is what living looks like when the meaning of the word living has already burned out. Spiderland is not asking you to solve anything. It is asking you to notice how uncomfortable it feels to exist without a goal. The ending is as vague and thoughtful as the start. In fact, you might even end up with more questions than answers. Who or what was real to begin with? Why the world got so messed up? And why do you even keep fighting to live another day? To talk to a disembodied voice? To find answers? No, you do it simply because it's your nature. This is horror as minimalistic as possible. This is horror as negative space. A complete, contained, a masterfully built little nightmare. Spiderland isn't going to be for everyone. It's a slow burn of a game. It has no action, set goals, or closure. This game will frustrate you, make you wonder and repeatedly question everything. You, your environment, the other characters, the world, everything. But if you prefer a horror that whispers rather than screams, this one is worth your time. It's free on Steam, and there's no reason not to give it a shot. But for now, that will be it from me. Make sure you do the usual YouTube jazz and join my Discord for updates on my future videos. Lastly, I appreciate you. Stay safe out there. My name's Fire, and I shall see you next time.